It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Aldi. It's part of their Hop Foundry series of beers. This is Good as Gold. It's a triple hopped golden ale coming in at 4.5% ABV. 335 milliliter can. Without further ado, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. Blimey, the fridge has kicked in and it's like it's almost as loud as a washing machine. It's one of those things, you buy it and it says, oh, really quiet, AAA rated fridge. After a few months, it's like it's like having a vacuum cleaner going around. Can you hear it? High-pitched buzzing. Anyway, 1 to 2 finger white head. Good levels of carbonation. Hazy straw coloured beer. Now I believe these beers have been brewed for Aldi by Marston's. If I'm wrong about that, please correct me in the comments below. Let's get this. Is there much of it? I suppose there's a little bit of haze going on. Nice carbonation. Let's get the aroma. It smells okay. A little citrusy, a little spicy. Malt character coming through. There is a small touch. Something to be slightly worried about. There is a little bit of DMS. That's a real shame. There's definitely a touch of DMS, a little bit of rotting vegetables. It's a touch, a small touch. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Oh. God, there's a right big old bitterness on this beer. Wow. So what have they called this? Good as Gold, a triple hopped golden ale. They've triple hopped it in the boil kettle. It just beggars belief for me. Absolutely beggars belief that I don't know where these breweries. You know, it's almost. Do you know when you see somebody and you ask the question, how did that person get so far in life? Sometimes I think that about breweries. I really do. This is a large brewery. If it is indeed Marston's who's brewed this beer for Aldi, this is a large establishment that's been around a long time. And they're triple hopping. Their very idea of triple hopping a beer is by triple hopping it in the boil kettle. If you're new to beer and if you're kind of drinking, maybe you're drinking along with me and you're wondering what that big kind of astringent bitterness is. It's a real astringent bitterness. It's not a bitterness to say that you say, there's some grapefruit in there's some mango and orange peel and fleshy blood orange, and you know, there's some proper dry hopping going on. They've not used the word dry hopping, they've used the word triple hopped. So they've whacked a load of hops in the ferment in the boil kettle, and it's just led to an astringent, overly bitter beer with next to no flavour. Now, I thought there was a little bit of DMS in the aroma. It's not really, I think it's just the amount of hops they've put in the boil kettle in the beer, and it's given off just an astringent flavour on the aroma of the beer that makes you think there's a little bit of DMS. What I find shocking about this, if it's not Marston's, it's another big brewery. What I find shocking about this is that I'm looking out the window at my bar here, and I can see Saison du Point, and I can see some wonderful Belgian breweries that, yeah, they might be a little bit older. There's some German brewed beers out there. They might, Schneiderweiss, they might be a little bit older than Marston's. But they would never make these missteps. They would never make the same mistakes as, you know, it's like the Belgians and the Germans and the Czechs. They have this brewing heritage like we have in the UK with their own regional breweries. But their regional brewers have knowledge. They have real depth of knowledge and understanding about beer. It's like you wonder with these regionals over here in the UK. They don't seem to have much of an idea about how to brew beer, and then it all goes back to how have they got so far? How have they got so far? They rely on their pubs. They rely on their chains of pubs. Their managed tied pubs that they roll out menus, food menus, and it's all about the food these days. They make a lot of money on their food. Well, not 2020, but normally they do. And they don't really put much of an emphasis, a real thought into the beers they're brewing. I've had a real up and down experience with the Aldi beers. I really, really loved the coffee stout. I thought that was terrific. Really, really good example. And it was by the same brewery. It was by Marston's. Really good example of a beer. This, on the other hand, they've got the hopping all wrong. How can a brewery the size of Marston's, how can they get the hopping all wrong? Like, just, it's beggars belief. Triple hopped in the boil kettle. It's not what you want. You want the triple hopping to be going on in the dry hopping, in a fermenter. There's proper craft brewers out there now that don't put any hops in the boil kettle. They don't see the point. They don't see the point of rampaging bitterness with no flavour just for the sake of it. That idea of brewing is passed a long time ago. It's a really poor example of a beer. Good as gold. Triple hop golden ale, the Hop Foundry by Aldi. £1.25 a can. It's left in a real astringent bitterness in my mouth. It's a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.